What is up, CC Middle School students? I hope you guys are having a great week. For those that don't know me, my name is Carol and I am over at the River City campus, and we are going to dive right into our message this week. And this week we are talking about words and the power they have. And obviously we all know that our lives are completely built around words. I want you guys to think about how many words we use every day. Now, I don't even want to know how much I talk throughout the day, but I know it's a lot. And when we think about our words, some of them are words that we say out loud, or some of them are like the ones that we think in our head in the middle of class when we have zero clue about what's going on, or when we greet someone in the hallway, or when we talk with friends. Our lives are built around words, because words help us connect to other people. They help us find common ground, and they help us find things that we have in common, or interests, or whatever. They build relationships, and I think that makes them really, really powerful. And what's also cool about words is that we have a lot of freedom when it comes to what words we use. We can choose to use kind words to uplift someone. We can choose to use funny words to brighten someone's day and bring them out of a funk they're feeling. Or we can use some not so kind words when we may or may not want to bring someone down a bit. And there's definitely consequences for the words that we choose to use. When we call someone a name, or tell a dirty joke, or throw a curse word in here and there, we might get into some trouble or hurt someone's feelings, but at the end of the day, we have a choice to use those words or not. We still have the freedom when it comes to our words. And that makes me wonder, and maybe you wonder too, am I using that freedom in the best way when it comes to my words? Now, here's why I think this whole conversation about words is kind of tricky. Because some of you might be thinking, is this even that big of a deal? They're just words. We all get that there are good words and bad words, and we all know there are certain things that we're just not supposed to say. But what's a bad word to one person might not be that bad to someone else. I mean, so really, who's to say whether I curse or tell a dirty joke or make fun of someone? What's bad to you might not be bad to me. Is it really that big of a deal to yell names at someone when we're mad, or sing along to song lyrics that might not be the best or that uplifting? What's the big deal about it? And again, I know this is all tricky, because honestly, all of us struggle with our words in one way or another. And there are all kinds of reasons for why we use our words the way that we do. Maybe we hear our families talk like that at home, or our friends like that at school, or we repeat song lyrics that have some of those words into ourselves. You know, if the adults in our lives are talking like that, why can't we talk like that? Or maybe we use certain words because we want to fit in, because everyone else is saying them, so why can't I say them? Or maybe we just tack on a little, oh, I'm just kidding at the end, and that somehow makes it all okay. We say them because we hear them, but if we're honest, a lot of the times we don't even know what it is we're saying, or maybe we think it's okay to say certain words because we've heard Christians or other people that are Christians say them. And here's what I would say to all of that. I think we're focusing on the wrong things. It's not really the words themselves that are the biggest problem. I think it's the way that we use the words that give them power. And let me give you a quick example. I'm going to say a sentence, and each time I'm going to emphasize a different word. Now I want you guys to think about how that changes the meaning of that sentence. I don't think she should have gotten that grade. I don't think she should have gotten that grade. I don't think she should have gotten that grade. And so on and so forth. You emphasize a different word, and it changes the meaning of the sentence. I don't think she should have gotten that grade. I don't think it. I don't think she should have gotten that grade. That's not the grade she should have gotten. I don't think she should have gotten that grade. It should have been someone else. Emphasizing one word changes the meaning of the whole sentence. Knowing that our words have power means that we recognize the impact they can have on both ourselves or others. The words we use can hurt someone else, even if they don't tell you, or even if you don't mean to. Someone could be hurt or offended by the things that you're saying. They're forming what they think about you based on the words that you choose to use. Our words really do have a lot of power, and that's why we need to think about what we say and why we say it. Thankfully, we can find some help on understanding the power of our words in the Bible. We're going to take a look at a book called James, and it was written by, you guessed it, a guy named James. And what's interesting about James is that he was actually Jesus' half-brother. Imagine growing up in that family. But that means that he got up close and personal with how Jesus uses his words and how Jesus lived his life. So when James wrote about the power of our words, I think we can trust his judgment. And we're going to dive in with what he has to say. He says, in the same way, the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And among all the parts of the body, the tongue is a flame of fire. It is a whole world of wickedness corrupting your entire body. It can set your whole life on fire, for it is set on fire by hell itself. Now let's pause because that was definitely a bit dramatic. So let's think about the power of those words here. Everybody has something to say about the words we say. And in order to get his point across, James chose some really dramatic language and really harsh words that should get our attention. And quite frankly, it worked. Words like fire and wickedness and hell itself have made me listen and definitely want to learn more about what he's saying. And honestly, they make me a little bit uncomfortable. I don't know if you guys are feeling that as much as I am. Some of you may even feel that the word hell is even a curse word. And I think it's safe to say that James was pretty serious based on the words he chose here. So what's his point? Well, I think James wanted us to know just how powerful our words really are. And we all know that the tongue is a tiny little part of the human body in the grand scheme of things. It may not be a body part that we think about a whole lot. I mean, it's kind of gross and kind of weird looking, but from that small, strange looking part of our body can come a lot of destruction. Like James said, even the smallest spark, just one word, has the potential to start a fire so big and bad that it takes over our whole lives. With just one word, we have the ability to bring destruction and devastation. And I don't know if any of you guys have seen a damage that the fire can cause. We saw a lot of it happening in Australia this year and in California. It doesn't take that much to turn on the news to see absolute devastation created by some of the fires. We could see how big and bad and terrible it is. Fires reduce even the strongest structures and the most beautiful landscapes to nothing but ash and rubble. And a lot of times that destruction causes permanent damage that we can't undo. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering, what's going on? What's the whole point? What do you mean words have power? Words have power because of the intention that we give them and the power that we choose to give them. Remember, we have freedom to choose our words. We've talked a lot about planting seeds and what that's going to look like when we're in building relationships. The intention behind our words also plant seeds. How do you choose to use your words? Words have the power to do good, but like James says, words have the power to start a fire of destruction, and it's the intention behind them. When you speak words with the intention to bring someone down, when you speak words of anger or hate or malice, you are giving words the power to destroy. Our words matter. The lies we tell, the names we call, the jokes we make, the insults we sling, and the lyrics we repeat. Like James said, again, if we're not careful, these words can turn our relationships, our reputations, our families, and our futures into nothing but ash and rubble. Words can leave a mess that cannot be fixed. And that's why we have to be less careless with our words. We have to be more careful. We have to pay attention to the power and the intention behind the words that we use. So we've talked a lot about the power that words have and the intentions behind them. But how do we do that? How do we look at that? We're going to look at some wisdom from King David written in the book of Psalms. And he says, "Take control of what I say, O Lord, and guard my lips." And that's found in the book of Psalms. So if we know that our words have power, then we have to ask God for help with our words. We know that we can ask God for help in every aspect of our lives, and that includes our words, something that we don't think about. Words, like we said, we base our lives around words, but how often do we ask God for help with our words? We have to work on guarding our tongues and our mouths so the words that come out of them aren't words that start fires or words that turn the things and the people we care about into ash and rubble. We have to work on controlling our words. And listen, I'm not asking you to change everything you say and how you say it right here and now. It's a process. a process that many of us are still working through. I'm still working through it. Your small group leader is still working through it. I'm not going to stand here and tell you what you can and cannot say, but what I'm asking you to do is take some steps to help you pay attention to the power of your words. So first, I want you to think about your last words. Look back at your last 10 or 15 text messages, the last few songs that you've listened to, or think about the last things that you've said to your close friends or family, and ask yourself, what are the power of these words? Are they bringing destruction and rubble? Are they hurtful? Would you be embarrassed to show them to your small group right now? If the answer to any of that is yes, then let's pause. Let's go to God for help. Again, this is not an overnight process. It's something that even, again, I am still working on, that I guarantee that your small group leader is still working on. But our first step is asking for God to step into that space and help us guard our words more wisely. And maybe you need to ask forgiveness to the person that you've said some of those hurtful words to or texted those hurtful words to. Part of paying attention to the power of our words means recognizing when we're wrong to use them in ways that are hurtful. So that's a great place to start. Then take a step to make a change. How could you better control the words coming from your mouth or the words that are being spoken into you via music or a TV show, so that you aren't leaving behind that ash and rubble? Maybe that means thinking before you speak, being quick to listen and slow to anger. A simple 10-second pause before you say the words that are about to come out of your mouth can give you time to think about the impact, the potential impact that those words might have on that situation or that person. Maybe that means not saying something that you know is wrong, no matter who is around. Sure, you can drop that curse word when mom and dad or your teacher or your small group leader isn't around, but is that really the wise choice? Or you can call that girl that name when she's blocked on your Instagram page, or make that joke that you know is inappropriate. You may have the freedom and the power to say those things, but is that really, again, using the freedom to the best of its ability? Maybe start by taking time to pray, like David did in the psalm that we read today. Ask God to help guard your mouth and control your words so the impact will be for good, and ask Him to help you pay attention to the power of your words. Paying attention to the power of our words is something that takes time and practice. Again, this is something I still work on and that many of your adult leaders are still working on. This isn't an overnight process. It's not a quick step thing that happens. It is a process that takes a long time. But again, that's one of the reasons that we have our small groups, because your group can help you notice when the words you say cause destruction or hurt, or encourage you to keep taking those steps that you're making to keep that destruction and hurt from happening. They can remind you to pause, to replace your words with good or new positive ones, and to pray that you use the power of your words for good. Now, as we head into our small groups today, I want you to think about this question. In what ways can I use my words for good? Maybe that's taking an extra time out of your week to encourage a friend, or to, again, do something as small as thinking before you speak, stepping away from an argument when you know you're about to say something hurtful. Think about that this week and try to find a way that you can use your words for good. Love you guys, and I hope you guys have a great week.